Is it so nightmarish? Well, it's all to protect its precious fruit, which look like tiny, adorable pumpkins. However, once the soft flesh withers away, it leaves behind hardened, dried seed capsules that are the botanical equivalent of hand grenades. When fully mature, the seeds drop to the ground and explode, flinging their hard, flattened seed capsules at speeds of up to 150 miles per hour. This disperses the seed capsules far away from the parent tree to provide them with ample resources to germinate and grow. Although it has been reported that the seed explosions sound as loud as a gunshot. And with its seedy shrapnel firing that fast, I'd make sure not to be in the line of fire if I were you. Grievous Gimpy. Now, it's not just trees that make up our world's frightening flora. Back in Australia, a deceptively dainty dark green plant with heart-shaped leaves and a fuzzy white fur looks like it would make the perfect addition to a Valentine's bouquet. But it's much more likely to leave you forever alone. You see, this is the Gimpy Gimpy plant, also commonly known as the stinging tree. Those delicate white hairs are in fact needles laced with moroidin, a powerful neurotoxin that causes excruciating pain. But the worst part is that it doesn't degrade over time, leaving victims suffering for days, months, or even years if the gimpy needles are not removed from the skin. The burning pain is so bad, local legends have described horses stung by this plant as being driven mad and running off cliffs to end their pain. Entomologist and ecologist Marina Hurley, while conducting a study on the plant, described the sting as the worst kind of pain you can imagine, like being burnt with hot acid and electrocuted at the same time. Others have described this sting as equivalent to 30 wasp stings, a picnic from hell. Even standing near the gimpy plant is a hazard, because the fine needles can break off in the breeze, and if you breathe them in, they'll wreak havoc on your respiratory system. Alright, I'm amending that Australian essentials list from before. Swimming shorts, sunblock, hard hat, and a gas mask. Have I missed anything? Let me know down in the comments. The Cold Killer Tree. While the Caribbean's manchineal tree holds the official title of the most dangerous tree in the world, it isn't the Caribbean's only unsafe shrub. Called the piscina tree, the thick canopies of these trees encourage birds to nest inside their branches. Now, like many plants, the piscina relies on animals to keep plants, so they don't end up directly competing for resources. As such, the piscina releases sticky, gooey seeds that adhere themselves to the bird's feathers. Pretty smart. But somewhere in the piscina's plan, something went really, really wrong. The pods are so sticky that the birds become completely incapacitated, with some lugging around more than 200 seeds. Left flightless, unable to move, or even free themselves, the poor birds eventually succumb to starvation, fatigue, or become prey to opportunistic predators. The most worrying part, though, is that botanists have no idea why the tree does this. Scientists conducted several studies and concluded that the tree obtains absolutely no benefit from its bounty of dead birds. Perhaps it is a mechanism the tree evolved to combat predators that have now gone extinct? Or it's an evolutionary genetic quirk that has gone too far? Well, it's either that or this tree just really, really hates birds. Killer coconuts. There's an old urban legend that coconuts kill more than 150 people per year by falling out of trees at a great height and cracking them on the head. Fortunately, though, this is totally false. It's a fabricated statistic popularized by shark activists to demonstrate the relatively low number of shark attack-related fatalities, with 10 casualties on average caused by sharks each year. However, that doesn't mean coconuts are shy. But in all seriousness, if a coconut weighing 4 pounds fell 80 feet on a person's head, the impact velocity would be 50 miles per hour. The force of that would be roughly equivalent to the weight of 1 ton. And coconuts dropped from lower heights have resulted in ER trauma admissions, with injuries caused to the back, shoulders, and head. There have even been fatalities caused by coconuts. In 1973, a young child in Hawaii was fatally injured while playing in a park after a coconut in a nearby tree fell on them. And in 2002, a fatal incident involving a falling coconut on a beach in northern Queensland, Australia, led to authorities removing coconut trees from all their beaches. So be careful where you decide to take your nap on a holiday, or this falling fruit might be the last thing you ever see. Sinister shipworms. Alright, I'm about to show you something that's gross. So gross, I can hardly look at it myself. Still here? Well, you have been warned. Now, let me introduce you to a frightening sight that could suddenly slide out of any tree you might find near seawater. Ugh. These are shipworms. Despite their name, they're technically a member of the mollusk family, a group of saltwater clams with long, soft white bodies. They are infamous for burrowing into structures, such as piers, docks, and ships. Anywhere where wood meets the sea, shipworms will be there. They settle onto wooden structures as larvae, where they begin to excavate the wood, burrowing themselves inside as they grow into adulthood, spending their whole lives munching great long tracks through the wooden beams. The tunneling of shipworms can cause dangerous structural weaknesses and result in shipwrecks and pier collapses, alongside a nasty shower of slimy worms. Ugh, gross. Nevertheless, in the Philippines, shipworms are known locally as tamalak and are considered a delicious delicacy. Here, they are hunted and extracted from the trees growing or rotting in the mangroves close to the coast. But depending on how infested the tree is, its structural integrity could see it collapse at any moment, putting the potential hunters in grave danger. I think I'll be safe though, seeing as how I just lost my appetite forever.
Shipworms.
Trippy tree. At a glance, the pretty flowers dangling from this tree really steal the show. The pristine petals have earned the name angel's trumpets. But after you learn a little bit more about them, you realize they should be called devil's trumpets. The official name of this plant is Brugmansia, and originally it was native to the wilds of South America, though it can be now found a lot closer to home, perhaps even in your own garden. Brugmansia is considered by many as an ornamental plant, perfect to have in a pot on the patio. But don't be fooled. It's also one of the most toxic trees you can grow. To both humans and animals, the toxins of this plant can be fatal. In their native climates, Brugmansia can grow upwards of 20 feet tall, the entire tree covered in foot-long trumpet-shaped flowers. However, be warned, because contact with this plant can trigger anticholinergic syndrome in the central nervous system, leaving sufferers completely paralyzed and confused. It's so dangerous that ecologists routinely have to wear hazmat suits while working with it. But that's not all. The toxin can also trigger auditory and visual hallucinations. According to studies, the hallucinations aren't fun, they're terrifying. Meaning this is a tree that can probably make your worst nightmares appear before your very eyes. Back in 2006, a young man was admitted to the hospital after drinking a cup of Red Angel's trumpet tea. He seemed to be searching for a high, but instead, in the throes of a vivid hallucination, he cut off his tongue and his, trumpet. Now that's what you call a bad trip. Imposter problems. If you ever go on a walk through an orchard in Brazil, you may come across a tree smothered in black boils. But before you hail down the locals and warn them of an oncoming plague, take a closer look. they're actually berries. Delicious, edible berries of the jabuticaba tree, to be precise. Native to 3 states of Brazil, and in season for just a few weeks of the year, these berries grow in a bizarre fashion. They smother the tree trunk like a clutch of alien eggs, rather than the usual way of appearing amongst the leaves. Due to the extremely short shelf life of these berries, beginning to ferment 3 to 4 days after being picked, they're often turned into jam, jelly, juice, or liquor. However, when it comes to figuring out which black berries are safe to eat, you best leave that to the Brazilians. With an untrained eye, many other luscious-looking blackberries are in fact poisonous. Cokeweed, a common sight in South America, bears inviting blackberries on bright purple stems. But unlike the delicious jabuticaba berries, these cause violent cramping, difficulty breathing, and eventual asphyxiation. But it's far from the only dangerous blackberry out there. Atropa belladonna, otherwise known as deadly nightshade, is one of the most toxic plants in the world, and also sports berries that are similar in shape and size to the jabuticaba. But don't be fooled by their similar appearance, because eating even a single nightshade berry can cause hallucinations, psychosis, and convulsions. Eating just 2 disrupts involuntary systems throughout your body, like sweating, breathing, and your heart rate, which can prove fatal. The best rule to follow is always avoid wild black berries, unless you find them growing directly from a tree trunk in Brazil. Hidden honey locust. The leaves of the honey locust tree, commonly found across the U.S., turn an incredible shade of orange in the fall. But be warned, because lurking underneath those leaves are sharp, spear-like thorns that are about 4 inches long, although some can reach as long as 11 inches. Flick knives with blades longer than 2.5 inches are generally illegal to carry in most U.S. states, so it's fair to say that this is a seriously gangster tree. The flowers possess a strong, sweet scent, but leaning in too close to get a sniff could bring you face to face with those thorns. They're so big and nasty that they've been known to puncture the tires of field tractors. And some horrifying accounts have even described these thorns piercing right through people's skin to fracture the bone. Ugh. The thorns are thought to have evolved to protect the tree from giant animals that used to roam the earth during the world's last ice age, like woolly mammoths. Those animals have since gone extinct, but the honey locust tree has hung on to its weaponry. On the other hand, the honey locust's close cousin, the black locust tree, takes its thorny weaponry a step